Who thought putting Mike Sanders on television was a good idea? I'm Joe Redland with a retro review of WCW Nitro from November 20th, 2000. I don't hate Mike Sanders as a person. I don't know him as a person. But he did not have the charisma or the screen presence or the ability or really any, good characteristics to justify being on TV so goddamn much. Man, 4 months away from the end of WCW and I can't fucking wait. It's been a lot of fun. There's been some positives. Lance Storm, Booker T is world champion, and a few other things. It's just a shame that it's all been buried in a sea of bullshit. And overbooked stuff and messy finishes and all that. And this was the go-home Nitro for Mayhem. Mayhem that replaced World War III. Both pay-per-view concepts were absolute shit. Though World War III was at least funny in, the train wreck sense with the 3-ring, 60-man human centipede together battle royal. So, from Augusta, Georgia. And I remember when Georgia was a really proud, home for WCW. I don't even think the arena was half full. And the crowd, they popped for a few people, but this is a fucking mess. A lot of talking, for most of the show. I think the last 30 minutes had 4 matches, which was kind of funny because most of it was just like weird promos or backstage segments and stuff like that. Luger talks about ratings with Mike Sanders. And then Palumbo wearing a shirt that was really goddamn loud. You probably could have heard him coming from a mile away. And O'Hare was put through a table. Who's doing this? We find out a little bit later. Sanders gives an address, so to speak, about the show and, matches that'll be happening. Jamie Noble versus Jimmy Yang. What was fast-paced? Leia Meow, the dominatrix manager of the Young Dragons, attack Noble outside with a Hurricanrana. Courageous runs down to help Noble, but he gets laid out by a 2 out of 3 count, as they're being called. And Noble does a dive on everybody and then hits sunset flip on Yang 1, 2, 3. Alex Wright then gets chased off by the Filthy Animals after being refused, help from Chronic, the tag team, not the drug. Use in moderation, by the way, if you're going to, and don't do that at a wrestling show, even back then. But why is he carrying the tag team championship belts? Well, it turns out that on that tour of England that WCW had just come back from, they had a show in Germany, a house show, and Alex Wright and Disco Inferno won the tag team championships. But Alex Wright was without a partner because nobody really wanted to see Disco with a championship. If you did, that's fine. I just don't understand it because Disco Inferno was rotten. And then here's Flair. Shivani, you were great in London all night long. And Shivani's like, he said he wouldn't talk about that. I don't know why that was funny, but you gotta search for some good stuff on a show this bad. And that Booker, will face Lex Luger tonight. And if Luger wins, then Goldberg versus Lex Luger will be for the world title. And Booker and Scott Steiner will still have their match, just not for the title. Because why not just change things around a few days before a pay-per-view? WWE never did that. Survivor Series, anybody? Fucking hell. Anyway, brand supremacy, my ass. Jarrett then says, hey, he's got a big announcement. It's about Stacy's baby, who the father is. And David Flair's out trying to figure this out. And basically, he talks about Stacy bringing a shopping bag and a whole bunch of stuff and just wearing a teddy. And, any Stacy Keibler fans absolutely love this. And, who the father is, da-da-da. It turns out the storyline was bullshit. He hits David Flair with a guitar for what that was worth, which was nothing. And there's about Bagwell. Him and Jeff brawl briefly, and then Jarrett gets tossed off the stage. And then Skipper is going to be Alex Wright's partner tonight. Everybody was just switching matches. Apparently, people could just decide to do that. And then Storm was going to team with Duggan to teach, Hugh Morris and Ming a lesson. That's a great idea, to try and teach Ming a lesson. That ain't ever going to fucking work. So last Thursday, the whole thing about the tag team championship, they really should have actually just made that a special, just had television cameras there and actually broadcast it. I think they could have gotten some pretty big ratings. And then, Alex Wright and Elix Skipper versus The Perfect Event, WCW Tag Team Championship match. It was a mess. Kidman ends up attacking Alex Wright while the referee's distracted with Kid Crusher and new tag team champions, Stasiak and Palumbo. Cool. Mancow announcement. This was footage that we did not get to see because everybody wants to see what happens with Mancow and Jimmy Hart. And if you do, you're a better person than I am. Couldn't give a shit about it, and I love Jimmy Hart, but he deserved better than this. Mancow comes in with a garbage can, as carelessly as possible and lays out 3 count and Jimmy Hart. And then Reno gets laid out by Big Vito. And then we get more Battle Dome stuff. I didn't realize this until I looked up the cast for Battle Dome, until I saw these guys. One of the Battle Dome guys was Terry Crews. Yes, the Old Spice guy and, the great talent that he is, the comedic, timing that he has, the guy that's in incredible shape even now, he looks exactly the same. This was 2000. He looks exactly the same 20 years later. Man, you got to start somewhere. Credit to Terry Crews, though. He's made a hell of a career being in stuff better than this. And yes, I'm even including White Chicks. White Chicks was better than this. And I hated White Chicks. He made it funny, though. Rick Steiner has a Battle of the Dome belt. Which, my God, if you thought that the AEW World title was overdone, if you thought the AWA World title was overdone, fucking Christ, this title was overdone. It was so great. And it had Battle Dome on there. Pretty much because all the guys probably wouldn't have had, minus Terry Crews, wouldn't have had a goddamn clue what it was for unless you had the names on there, because some of them kind of look like idiots. And then Terry Crews and everybody, I think Terry Crews and Rick Steiner were the ones that brawled, and then the Battle Dome guys come out and beat down Rick Steiner, and nobody cared about this. And then Nash is in the ring, calls out the Thrillers. Here they are, a tag title match at Mayhem. Sanders says, well, you're here by yourself. What the fuck? And then they attack Nash. Here's Page. He's a tag partner. And then they take the tag titles from them at Mayhem, I believe. Storm, with some timely commentary from 20 years ago. It's been 2 weeks and you still haven't been able to determine your presidential election. Now, I realize Americans aren't that bright, but you should be able to count. It's simple addition. Lance Storm, being pretty goddamn smart, and right now, this stuff is so relevant. So goddamn relevant with the fracturing of this goddamn nation between people that want decency and idiots. And you know who the idiots are. And if you think you're not the idiot, well, you know who the fucking idiots are. They wear hats as red as this, basically. Anyway, Meng and Morris versus Storm and Duggan wasn't good. Because Meng shouldn't have really been in the ring at this point without, young guys that he could have, demolished, and maybe a young guy he could put over, and Duggan should not be in the ring. Great that he beat cancer, but he should not been wrestling. And Skipper and MIA tried to interfere, and then Morris, with the most devastating maneuver in all the professional wrestling, even back then, surprise roll-up, pins Duggan. Sanders is quiet on commentary about the Mayhem tag title match, and he set up a match for Kiwi versus somebody. Kiwi is going to face off against Sanders in the, for the Cruiserweight Championship at Mayhem. Here's Goldberg. The famous, clip of being speared out of the air, Kiwi was, and then jackhammer for 3. Goldberg then scares Sanders. I'm my own man. I don't fight your battles or anyone's battles. Then here's Flair to say, hey, Sanders, go fight Goldberg. That's basically it. He spears him out of his shoes, jackhammers him 1, 2, 3. So Goldberg's streak, by the way, being ignored here. It being ignored in the sense that he would have to duplicate the streak and beat it to earn another world title shot. Flair, by the way, earlier did mention Vince Russo, which was kind of hilarious. And then Douglas and Tori talk. I don't know why anybody thought it was a good idea to let them talk for this long. Here's Buff. They're having this match again. They're revisiting this feud that nobody wanted. And neck targeting by Buff. Jared Miller tried to interfere. Buff blockbuster 1, 2, 3. And then Miller says he will face Douglas. And if Douglas wins, Miller will kiss Madden's ass. And that's a lot of ass to kiss. Was that at the pay-per-view? I'm actually struggling to remember that. I hope not. Scott Steiner then does a heartfelt message to Sting, basically saying, I told you I was going to beat your ass, and I did. And he wants blood. He wants Booker's blood. Kind of graphic there. I mean, he didn't have to say it. That basically was implied. Luger versus Booker, WCW World Title match. Less than 5 minutes. I think it was 3. Scott Steiner was on commentary. Here's Goldberg. They have a brief brawl. He thumbs him in the eye, so Goldberg can't quite see what he's doing, but manages to see well enough to hit a spear to Luger after telling Booker to move, and then Booker covers 1, 2, 3. Yeah, this was happening. This was ridiculous. This was fucking ridiculous. It was a bad show, bad go-home show. Fucking hell. Anyway, I'm going to do Thunder. I'm going to keep doing this stuff, but goddamn, this promotion was so fucking rotten. Agree, disagree, what I said? Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm Charm Ritlin. I'll see you soon.